Hi, I'm Amy Boele, and I am teaching in the third clinical block, the field experience and seminar for diverse classrooms. And in this course, the students will be doing a mini research study because the design of the class is for them to be engaging in an inquiry model and developing inquiry as a stance and as a habit of mind for their teaching practice. Through this process, they're going to be identifying a problem or a tension that they're observing at their site, and they want to explore it a little more. Um, and with quite a bit of support from me, they will develop a conceptual framework in order to better understand that problem. And then they will generate questions. They will collect evidence or data through observations and very detailed field notes that I'm calling cognitive ethnographies, borrowing from Dr. Chris Gutierrez, who's now at UC Berkeley. So they're documenting their observations and their ideas and thoughts and relating it to the theories and what they're learning through those cognitive ethnographies. And then in that process, they may be prompted to ask more questions. They may go back to their conceptual framework. And then finally, they'll analyze what they're seeing, what they are recognizing in terms of patterns. They'll make a claim about whatever problem it was. It could be, just an individual student. It could be the way groups are organized. And they'll support those claims with evidence from the data that they have collected. And finally, they're going to compile this process into a poster product that hopefully can be presented at the undergraduate research and creative activities symposium in April. So key to this particular inquiry cycle, at least something that I'm very passionate about and hoping to instill in them is that conceptual framework piece, where they are really acknowledging and interrogating the lenses through which they view the issues that they see at their sites. I really hope that they are checking their assumptions at the door, and through the process of documenting detailed notes, that they're careful to distinguish between here's what I'm observing and here's what I'm thinking about what I'm observing, not projecting their perceptions onto what others are thinking or feeling or doing, but really being careful to document what happens versus how they're understanding it. And I hope that they can pull in theories, principles, best practices that they're learning in their concurrent courses or even courses from previous semesters about what learning is, and really focusing on the students and not so much on what the teacher's doing, but drawing upon kind of this rich scholarship that we're sort of providing them, rather than using their folk theories about what they think learning looks like or engagement looks like. So, all that ties into just kind of these assumptions that they're bringing, the lenses that they're bringing to, so what is engagement? Is it kids sitting quietly and eyes totally focused on the teacher? Well, what about the kid who needs to fidget in order to pay attention? Or what does learning look like? Is it only when the students give correct answers? Or what can you learn from errors? Because errors can be very significant pieces of information that give you clues into student learning. What is normal? What through especially through our dominant white English-speaking middle class sorts of worldviews that a lot of us come to the classroom with, along with our experiences in school. What are we assuming about what's desired in schools? and how can we sort of disrupt some of those assumptions and pull from rich scholarship that suggests otherwise. So as far as the main assignments, I mentioned the cognitive ethnographies. They will do 5 of those. They will also be doing reflective discussions with other teacher candidates, but that's not going to happen at the site. And then I mentioned the poster that they'll put together, and that will be accompanied by a paper to explain it. And then they're also going to take everything that they've learned, everything that they've sort of investigated and interrogated throughout the semester, and co-plan and co-teach a whole class lesson. So part of the process of planning is that they're going to take these claims that they're making about what they're observing and design instruction, based on the evidence that they have. So that should all hopefully tie together, and hopefully we want to support them in their implementation of this whole class lesson as much as we can at this point in their trajectories. And then as far as ways that the site teams could be most helpful, I think one thing would just be making space for the students to document their notes and their observations. I'm just asking for at least 30 minutes, if not an hour, of really detailed notes about interactions. So they don't have to have laptops to take notes, but I've told them they could jot things down by hand, but then later immediately type it all up in detail. And I would also request help just identifying the lesson that they will be teaching toward the end of the semester. So the date, the objectives, the subject, and again, this is all with the CT. And then we will need the site team, a member of the site team, if not just the CT, observing the lesson. So just kind of coordinating all of that would be really helpful. So yeah, as I said, the lesson is really where a lot of it, the learning they did prior, will come to fruition. But really key to this is understanding and focusing on student learning, what students are doing, and how we can best support them to be, support our teacher candidates to be reflective practitioners now while they can, so that when they are in the classroom and things are going a million miles a minute, that they at least have those habits of mind, and while they're not going to be able to sit down and take detailed notes as a practicing teacher, the hope is that they will at least have gone through this process, and they will start to realize where they are making assumptions, everything from, well, the student is frustrated, to, I think the student has a learning disability. So just checking those assumptions that a lot of times, come prematurely and without sufficient evidence. So hopefully we're developing that habit of mind, and that ultimately we are, doing these powerful practices, these high impact practices that will benefit the K-12 students. Thank you very much.